Thank you very much, Jim. Right, good morning, everybody. Again, perhaps for some of you. So you are here for the Supporting Profiling and Classroom Engagement with Just2Easy's J2Journal Next Steps. So my name is Nikki Kimball. I'm one of the educational consultants here at Just2Easy. Now, as always, my Q&A questions are actively encouraged through the chat. I think between Jim and I, we did quite well fielding the majority of the questions in the previous session. But really, if you have any questions that you desperately want to know, that I'm assuming for this session that you are already using J2Journal to a certain extent. So if there's things that you really want to know, maybe you want to know how to implement something into J2Journal, just pop it in the chat and we'll see what we can do. I will be doing a Q&A session at the end as well, so feel free to ask me. So in terms of J2Journal next steps, and I was planning this even till sort of 10 o'clock last night, I was sort of thinking what a teacher's going to need. I really reflected on the profiling requirements, so I'm just going to revisit that just so everybody's sort of aware of what the requirements are, which I'm sure you are, more to refresh my memory than anybody's. And then I'm just going to give you an overview of where to find, how to log into Just2Easy and where to find J2Journal. Then we're going to, again, have a quick look at adding to J2Journal, structuring folders, archiving journals, and adding templates to J2 PDF to be showcased in J2Journal. So that would be quite a nice one. And also, I might just dip into using the library as well and just pointing in the direction of that, because library resources are a fantastic way of getting the best out of the tools, linking it to various aspects of the curriculum, but the children being quite proud of that and being able to reflect on that by adding it to a J2Journal entry. Okay. So apologies to anybody that has sort of attended the previous session if there is a little bit of crossover, but hopefully towards the end there'll be a bit more content for you. Right, profiling requirements. So just a little review. So the profile is a positive statement of a child's best achievements in school, at home, and in the community. Completing the profile gives the learner the opportunity to talk about their learning and achievements with parents and others and can challenge, motivate, and support learners. Robust profiling increases self-esteem, improves motivation, and thereby improves learning. And profiling is the process by which the learner reflects on their learning for themselves and in dialogue with others. And J2Journal is the profile. Okay, so it's, just to clarify the difference in the two. So who completes the profile? The learner will complete the profile with appropriate guidance and support from the school, parents, and key adults. So in an ideal world, we want the children to be able to do this themselves. Obviously, those of you that are working lower down the school, there are some limitations with that. We have tried to make it as simple as possible, which is why I'm going to look at adding content, certainly from a pupil's perspective, adding from JIT, from J2 Create, and it's a very simple step, hopefully, and then I will show you how you can add as a teacher to add a little bit more embellishment into that. But I thought that was just interesting just to highlight kind of what profiling is and what the profile requirements are. Now, why use Just2Easy to support profiling? So it encourages reflective learning, so the pupils can document their learning journal in a structured way, and it aligns with the C of E, focus on personal reflection. I think this is one of the key ones. It is safe and secure, unlike certain competitors. It's GDPR compliant and built for schools, so we did build it specifically for Scotland. In fact, I think it was an Aberdeenshire school that we sort of set the ball rolling, and it was released last June, and it has been developed in conjunction with Scottish teachers, and it ensures that pupil data remains completely protected. It's accessible anytime, anywhere. So the cloud-based storage allows work to be accessed at home or in school. So the children can access their account at home. If there's things that they're proud of, maybe they've, done a gymnastics showcase. Maybe they have, won a trophy for their football. They can take pictures and add that to the journal at home as well. Promotes pupil voice, so it allows people to take ownership of their learning and expressing their thoughts in multiple different formats. So we will look at the different formats that you can use within Journal, because it's not just text-based. Parental engagement, so it's secure sharing options allow parents and carers to view and celebrate their children's progress. and gives children that authentic audience, which I think is really important. I did a webinar recently about digital storytelling and the fact that that is a huge motivator for children. If they have people reading stuff that they made, it really gives them an extra sense of achievement, because it's not just them and the teacher that are reading it. Okay, they can take it home, they can show it to other people. And it captures progress over time, so students can easily track their growth with a mix of text, images, voice and video entries. And you as a teacher, you can reflect back on it and have that as a process in itself. So, you know, as the year goes on, you and that child could sit down potentially and look at content that they've made in September and compare it to content they make in June. And then they can reflect on what they've learned in that time period, how different those two pieces of work are. So it's a nice sort of digital portfolio of pieces of work. So just a quick refresher, logging into Just2Easy. We are called Just2Easy. We're often shortened to J2E or J2E.com. And you can find us through Glow using the J2E.com button. So it's called J2E Creative Tool Suite. Okay, so if we're not showcasing on your Launchpad here, you can search for that tile. Okay, and let us know if you have any issues with logging in, because I think we did have one school that struggled in the previous session, so please just pop it in the chat if that is the issue. You can also go via j2e.com if you wanted to go directly, and there is a Glow button. I'll just zoom in here so you can see. So that is our login page. You can click on the Glow button and use your Glow credentials to log in. Okay, just to draw your attention to the Launchpad, I'm assuming the majority of you are already quite competently using Just2Easy, but just to highlight, we have a variety of different tools that might be of interest. So J2 Blast is a big one for the kids. It's gamification. The kids get points for spellings, times tables and maths. So the SATs Blast isn't overly obvious that it's maths. I keep pushing them to rename it Maths Blast, but that is in there. There's a Key Stage 1, 2 and 3 version. And they're really useful. They get points every time they play. J2 Code and J2 Data, you know, big pushes for computational thinking and data literacy. J2 Create, which is what I've created my presentation in. It's a fantastic tool. And JIT. So if you are new to this tool suite, then JIT is a great place to start. And then just to draw your attention to this area, because we have just launched this last week. It is our teachers area. So in a lot of my webinars, I had to sort of, we've got a lot of support, but it's dotted around in different places. So the teachers area has wrapped it all into one nice sort of button that you can click and access. So we do have some training sessions with, mostly with me. Charlie does the odd one. So those are delivered via Teams. We have a lot more Scottish schools joining us for those now. They're usually after school. Around 3:30. They are all recorded and added into our YouTube channel, which you can access here, which I'll show you a bit later. There's the Getting Started area. Now this has various videos, so introduction to the tool suite, introduction for early years, and the parent portal intro. So if you want to know more about the parent portal, that is there. Join our Facebook group, and managed service specific content is there. And then we've also got our bookable 15-minute video calls, which I feel I'm going to be very busy following these sessions. But these are with me mostly during the day. Charlie does the evenings. I think Charlie does Mondays as well. So either one of us will be more than able to answer any questions that you might have. If you've got something that you want to, you know, start using in class and you're not sure how, if you've got a new tool that you want to use, but you want a bit more direction. They're very informal. We just sit down, generally drinking tea and eating biscuits and chatting about what it is you want to get done. So please feel free to book onto one of those. So yeah, and then Journal is on our Launchpad as well, and that is what you're here for. So Journal is here. Okay. So I am assuming, as this is the next steps webinar, that you all know how to create a journal. Please feel free to add it into the chat if you don't. So I'm just going to go over how we add content, because there is a very easy way, but it only works within JIT or J2 Create. And then we've also got adding different content via Journal. So you'll notice, I'm just going to close some of these buttons down. In JIT and J2 Create, if I open up JIT, and I'm going to load an animation, for example. I'm going to add, I'm trying to think of one that I've done that is half decent. Here we go, Titanic. So this is my Titanic animation. Took me a lot longer than I care to admit to. So I want to publish that to the journal. Okay, now I can do that by just clicking on this button here. So you'll see we've got the save button, which is this one. We've got the publish to J2 Webby. Now that is different. Still got a purpose to it, but it's kind of being superseded a little bit by publish to journal, which is this button here. And the reason I pointed out that sort of process is it's very similar to J2 Create as well. So I can click on publish to journal. Now it's going to ask me which journal I want to publish to. So I'm going to say Bear Class because that's the one that I've just created. And then it's going to take me through to this place. Now, because I'm a teacher, that's why it's taking me to this screen. If I did that as a pupil, it would just send that to the journal. Okay. But as a teacher, I've got the option to title and describe that. So I could say Titanic animation lesson, and I could put the date, for example. And I could add a whole description about what they've done, what they've learnt. I can add additional files. So if I click add file, I've got the option to take photos, audio, video, links, anything added into my files, pupil files, or upload. So I think these are quite nice ones for capturing that wraparound anecdotal evidence. Especially for things like if you're working at early years as well, I think this is really important because you can take photos directly into this journal entry. You can get the children to reflect on things using the audio tool. You could take a video of them whilst they're creating that content. So it could be that they'd made this animation, but they'd used a storyboard and they'd, done a non-digital storyboard. So you could take a photo of the storyboard, a photo of them animating on the iPad, the animation itself, and then maybe an audio reflection on what they'd done, how they'd done it, what they'd found difficult, what they'd do better next time. And you could add all of those 4 different pieces of evidence to create that kind of journal entry. And there you go. And then we click next. So at this point, because I'm doing this as a teacher, I tag which children are involved. So this, I could say that was me, for example, or let's have this as Lottie because she is my demo pupil. I can go to next and add a folder. So this could be, I've completely forgotten to put computing in. So let's put computing, create folder. There we go. And click create. And that's going to add that into my journal. Okay, so there is my Titanic. And for those of you that were asking earlier, I've also, well, that's my daughter, but that is my push notification to say that I've had a journal entry because my parent portal is linked on my phone and I've got those push notifications. So there should be no excuse really that the parents have missed a message or a journal entry because they should have those switched on. But there you go. So that is adding in some content. Now, as I said, I'm just going to show you from Lottie's perspective. So this is Lottie. She's in my class. So again, we're going to do the same thing with her. So JIT. Let's see if she's got any animations. I'm going to load in. Let's go for this one. She's got this lovely snowing animation. And she can push that publish to journal. Now, what I would recommend is you only have 1 journal per class, ideally. Now, I've got 2 journals for this class. The reason I say that is because we have to then choose a class and then it will post to the journal. Whereas if they only had 1 journal, that would just go straight to that page. They wouldn't have to select anything. But that's just personal preference. I like to keep things streamlined for the pupils. That will go to the review area as a teacher. So if I just refresh that page, I've now got this option to review. Because a pupil has posted it, that means that I have to review it. Nothing's published without my knowledge. So I can click review, and there is that animation. So I can play that, I can edit it if I want to, and when I'm happy, I can just click approve, and that will then post that to the journal. And there we go. So I can click on that, and that is my phone. I have to put my phone away because otherwise I get really distracted because I keep publishing stuff and it pings up on my phone. And there is that animation that Lottie has just posted. So that is how we can add content. And again, so this adding new or adding as a teacher gives you a lot more options. The pupils can do this method. I personally would probably use this. When you're doing this method with the children, so for your older children, sorry, I feel like I'm jumping around a little bit here. If I open up J2Journal, I would use this for more like if you're doing anything in J2 Code or data or J2 Office. So definitely for your older students, that's when you can start using this new button. So anything that's not JIT or J2 Create, basically. So we could go to Add File. They've got the option to add their My Files. And there you can see. So I've got things like, just trying to find, I don't really use J2 Office very often. So a blast, maybe they've done a blast game that they're proud of. That is an audio, so they've maybe done some storytelling, so reading out loud. Yeah, I tend to use JIT or J2 Create. I'm really struggling to find anything. But also you can upload content. So if they've created something in something else, they can upload from their hard drive. Maybe they've created something in their Google Drive. They can download that and then upload. So there's lots and lots of different uses. So this is something I created in Canva. So the children can upload any content they've created elsewhere. I think that'll work. So if I go to create, she says, yeah, there we go. Okay, so I created that in Canva and downloaded it as a PDF so I can upload that. So there are lots and lots of different choices for sort of encouraging those skills beyond that just pushing to publishing to journal button. Okay, now editing existing content. So from my journal, so for example, Lottie did this, she's posted it today, but I know that she did it before Christmas, for example. So I can click on those three dots and that's going to give me my editing capability. So I can edit the content, I can edit the user. So maybe Lottie's done it with somebody else. I can edit a folder because she hasn't put it in a folder, and I can edit the date. So let's have a look at editing the date. I can use that little calendar button and I'm going to say, right, I know that we did that lesson on the 3rd of December, and that then changes that. It will change the order of it if I refresh. Okay, I can edit the folders. So I know that is computing, and there we go. So that now has added that into a folder. Okay. And I might want to add an additional user. So I'm going to edit users and I'm going to tag, maybe she worked with Harry in that instance. So now I've got Lottie and Harry. Okay, and I can see that it's Lottie that posted that. So that's really helpful. So that is how you can add or edit any anything to do with a journal entry. Now, structuring our journals with folders, the folders work really well as the profiles become bigger, and they really are quite supportive of, you know, that kind of middle management area where you can now start to do deeper dives into certain subject areas or specific pupils' content. So your folder structure, each journal will have their own folder structure. So, and I think that's important. We ummed and ahed about whether to have it as like a universal, you could send it out to all of the journals, but I think, you know, the folders that you're going to need in early years are going to be very different to the folders that potentially you'll need in your, you know, P6 and P7s. So to structure your folders, you can click all folders, and we've got our create and edit folders, which we didn't used to have. So that is a suggestion from a Scottish teacher. So thank you. We're always open to feedback, so please feel free to let us know any feedback that you have about journal. So you can create or edit folders here. So if I click that, I've got the existing folders that I have. Now I could delete that one because I've got technology and computing. I'm going to add another one. So I'm going to add, I'm going to have world around us, for example, change colour and create. You can change the name of these at any point by just clicking on this edit button, and you can delete any of these folders as well, and then click close. So that is how we can add folders. And as I said, because I've added in that folder, now this might be a world around us, they might be looking at, you know, people that live around the world. So I can now edit that folder and add that as a world around us. So that is multiple folders that has been tagged in. There is, I've just seen that question. There is, I do have a PDF document that I can send out. I don't know if it's out of date because I did create it probably more than a year ago, but I will have a look for it. I feel like it might not have journal, which is probably, leave it with me. I'll find out. If Jim could either, Jim, if you have Elizabeth's email, in fact, I'll put my email in the chat. So if anybody wants that guidance, I feel like I'm going to have an influx of questions about that. Let me know, and I can get it across to you once I check whether it's in date or not. Okay, so that is how we can structure our folders, but they are useful. Those folders are really useful. As I said, as those profiles or journals become bigger and bigger and bigger as the year goes on, you're going to be able to sort of delve a bit deeper into things. So for example, I might want to look at my computing. That's giving my animation and another animation. So you'll have a nice feed of everything that is attributed to that particular subject. So great for things like your computing lead or your English lead. So maybe you're doing some phonics lessons. You can delve a bit deeper into English, for example. Okay, so there's my speaking and listening. Or maths, which I don't think I've got any. There we go. Okay, or you can look at specific users. So we could look at Lottie and see everything that Lottie's done. That's incorrect, isn't it? There we go, all folders. And we can see everything that Lottie's done. Okay. Now, archiving our journals. So the journals can be archived, and that is done within the sort of the front page of J2Journal. So if you're in a journal like I was, we click on J2Journal on the top left, and that takes you kind of to the front page. And this is where we can archive our classes if you wanted to. Now, full transparency, we haven't done a full academic year with Journal yet. It was released in June, which obviously was the end of your academic year here in Scotland. So we are open to suggestions when it comes to archiving. My suggestion was that we should have somewhere an archive all journals button, but I am open to feedback on that. So as it stands at the moment, a journal can be archived by clicking on this little sort of edit button in the top right. I'm not going to do that one because that one is our demo one. I'm going to do this one. And you can click the archive button there. Okay, so let's archive it. And that will remove that out of that list. Now, if you archive something by mistake, you've got the show archive button, and you can reinstate any of those. So don't panic if you've archived it by mistake. You can see how many that we've archived. But it also means that all of that work stays kind of in the background, which is nice. So, you know, you'll only be able to see present journals. It really depends on how you're using your profiles, if they have a new sort of profile every year, or whether they just have that one profile that moves as they go throughout the whole primary career. So yeah, so that is how we can access the archived journals, is there, just by clicking on that button. Okay. Now, I thought I would add this in because I'm aware there may well be some existing profile proformas, that's not easy to say, that you are using or were using in other tools. Or you might want to create your own profile proforma. Okay, now this is one that I knocked up in Canva. Now I don't work for Canva, but I just think it is a really quite a nice tool. And I've downloaded it as a PDF. Okay, and this took me all of about 3 minutes. And I think I'm going to start using it to create some library resources because it is a really nice tool. So J2 PDF is the tool that I'm going to show you, and it allows you to add PDFs as an editable background. So any sort of pro forma you've got, as long as you can download it in a PDF, you can then import it into J2 PDF. So if you've got Word documents, if you've got PowerPoint, if you've got a Google Docs, download it as PDF and this process will work. Okay, so the PDF template can be added and saved, and then once completed, the file can then be uploaded to J2Journal. So, you know, this might be something that they add to as the term goes on. So this is an example of the J2 PDF. So, you know, in one lesson, we've done that lovely self-portrait there. I can click here. So I'm going to do this on Lottie's behalf. No, actually, I'm going to do it on my behalf. I'm not going to subject her to that. So I'm going to say class 1. So this is fully editable, as you can see. So I'm going to have Staffordshire. Would help if I could spell it right. My learning goals. So I want to learn how to spell and how to type proper. Ironic. And there we go. And then I can click publish to journal once I'm done, or I can click save. So that's going to save to my files. So I don't have to publish that. I only publish to journal once I'm done, once I'm finished with something. So this could be something they add incrementally. They could add an additional page, and maybe they only push the publish to journal button maybe once every half term, once they've completed a particular piece of work where they reflected. Now, what's nice about J2 PDF is it's built into J2 Create, and it has things like it's a multimedia tool. We've got record sound. So again, great for that reflection. The children can record sound bites. They can attribute that sound to pictures, and it's great for those digital skills. So let's have a little record. This document's all about me and reflecting on my learning, and add that to page. And there we go. And we can add that. They can add in pictures. They can take photographs directly in. They can add sounds that they've recorded elsewhere. If they've made videos, they can add those in. So it's a really nice wrapper tool. And again, we can just click save. And then when they're ready, they can click that publish to journal button. Okay, so how did I do this is the key question. Okay, so from my Launchpad, we've got J2 PDF, which is here. Okay. Now, as I said, as long as you've downloaded it from somewhere, so my downloads file is here. Okay. I've got this PDF, so I can drag that PDF here onto this J2 PDF Dropbox. And that is going to stitch that PDF onto a J2 Create page, essentially. So now I can click anywhere and I can start typing. Now, as a teacher, I could save that. So let's have profile pro forma. And I can share that with my students, and they can then add to that and have a go. Now, within J2 PDF, you can share from here. So if I click on this little 2-person button, and then I've got this little drop-down menu here, and this will show you all the classes that you've got in school. So class 1 is my class. I think because you're a managed service, I think that is a staff class. So yours will look slightly different to mine because mine's not a managed service. So if that is the case, you can go down to all classes and your class should be listed there. So you can, share that with class 1. And there we go. And they will have access to that until you remove that permission. And they can access that as a template. So then they can open that from the shared files area. They can add anything to it, and then when they save it, it saves into their my files area. So that's a great way of standardizing maybe the profile, how it looks, or how it sort of how they use it. Okay, now I might start, I've got it on my very long to-do list, I might start creating some profile proformas and adding them into the library, if that would be of interest. If that is of interest, I can show you from the pupil view, yes. If that is of interest, please feel free to email me any sort of proformas that you already have that you want me to use as a basis, or any ideas or any suggestions, and I can put those into place because I can sort of knock some library resources up quite quickly. So just reflecting back, so I've set this as a J2 PDF, I've saved it and I shared it with my pupils. So this is Lottie, she's in my class 1. She would access that by going to the shared files area. Okay, she ticks that list files, and there is that profile proforma. So she can open that and she goes to edit. She can add in photos. So let's add some things. She can use the search function, so she might have, I don't know, reading. She likes reading, self-portrait. Sadly, I don't have any, but you could draw that in Jit Paint, save it as an image and import it. She could add audio in. This is me reflecting on my work. And add that to the page somewhere. And there we go. So lots and lots of different things. Then she can save that, and that is going to save that edited copy into her My Files. So she then so that's the template stays in the shared file. So that's almost like your photocopy. What's the word? This is middle age. This is the template that you photocopy. Okay, and then the children edit their own version, which then saves into their My Files. So that is her edited version. So what I would do is I would get the children to open this, add a bit more, and they can add additional pages. So you could make this pro forma as many pages as you want. So you can see there's additional pages to this. So literacy and English, write or add an example of your best work. So we can add a link. So obviously this is going to be with older children, but we can add a link to, if I go to browse, to additional work. So that could be her literacy work. And that is that link. So it really depends on what age you're working with as to, you know, what you would do with this. But you can add links in, you can add pictures and then hyperlink the picture. So there's lots of things, and they can just keep adding additional pages and then click save. So open it with each lesson, and then when they're completely done, then they can press that publish to journal button. And there we go. So that has gone straight to journal because I deleted that other journal. So now if I open up journal and I go to my Bear class and I go to review and I wait, there we go. So I can click in this, I can listen to the sounds. This is me reflecting on my work. I can click on any hyperlinks they've added and that will then link to those particular pieces of work, and that is in the journal, like as an overall. So I can click approve and I'm happy for that to be in the journal. So that is how you can create your own PDF. If you have, I've just seen I think Jim's answered the question quite well, but if you have any Word documents that you're already using, Google Docs that you're using, you can export those as PDF and use those in J2 PDF. So that would be my way round if you were already using Proformas. Now, the alternative is to use library resources. So some of these may not be exactly what you want, or it might be that they've created, that you want to use these as part of your curriculum, and then they can publish anything that they're proud of onto their journal. So this is our library. It's, I think we're close to 3,000 resources in there now. And we are going to be rejigging how this looks shortly. So you're going to get a lot more sort of content. But for example, it's Safer Internet Day this week. Today, in fact. So we've got some internet safety rules. So for the students to access any of this, you have to share it or set it as homework, both of which, if it's set in homework, the parents will be able to see that it's set as a homework. If I go to share, and I'm going to share that with my class 1, and they now have access to that particular resource. So they can open that from the library, they can open it, edit it and save it. And then, once they're done, the pupils can then publish that to journal if they were particularly proud of it, for example. So that's using the library resources as well. Okay. So that is the end of what I planned. I thought I would give the question section a bit more time in this session. I'm aware that I haven't gone over Parent Portal at all, so I'm more than willing to take any questions on Parent Portal. But if not, thank you ever so much for giving up your very precious time on this in-service day. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I will keep a very close eye on the chat.
Okay, that's great, Nikki. I've just stopped